Builders have a bit of a mantra: measure twice, cut once. Is that applicable though to the world of data? Well, we're going to explore that a little bit today in the Data Radio Show. Hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Data Radio Show. We're going to be sitting down and having a chat to Thibault and Marc from dFakto. They're an organisation based out of Belgium that's got 25 years experience in working in data. They've got some really interesting points of view out there, like the fact they think that inefficiency is the silent business performance killer. And they've used that time over 25 years to build tools that empowers organisations to bridge the gap between data, decisions and strategy. So we're going to have a quick catch up with them soon. But before then, make sure you hit that like, share and subscribe button, particularly the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We're running a bit of a competition at the moment where you could win a $50 Google voucher just by following us. And we're giving one away over December, January and February of 24 and 2025. So make sure you hit those buttons. Anyway, let's go jump over to Sam and the boys in Belgium and have a bit of a catch up with them.
Well, hello, listeners and viewers. Today I'm joined by Marc and Thibault from dFakto, and they're going to be talking to us a little bit about their bVault platform or data automation platform. Just to get things kicked off, though, Thibault, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry?
So created dFakto 25 years ago in 2000. We have a bunch of experience dealing with very large programs, and we were in the very beginning concerned about issues and streaming data to make the progress of large programs. And in fact, we then entered using, in fact, data vaulting back in 2012, I think. And we found out some interesting way to combine data vaulting with data quality measures. And voilà. So far, we are working for very large companies. We work for government. We work for very small companies. We work in different industries. And by the way, we see a common pattern of data quality issue everywhere, and we designed, in fact, part of our bVault product in order to fix this issue that we see everywhere.
Okay, and Marc, maybe taking a slightly different point of view here. How did you tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry? So what's your background, and how do you come to be working for dFakto?
Yeah, thank you. So I started working here at dFakto 7 years ago. I started as a solution developer, mostly in .NET. And then I started moving into the data path at dFakto. And I've been implementing data vaults for multiple clients. And then like 2 years ago, I took the product ownership of bVault, our data vault automation tool. And so I'm currently in charge of the roadmap, testing, designing the features, and so on. And I still have a foot in the implementation part, where I'm still implementing data vault for some of our clients.
Okay. And just picking up on that thread about being a product owner and product manager, what are some of the common issues that you have found that data engineers are struggling with each day?
So our focus here will be to reduce as much as possible the technical needs, because we see that implementing a data vault can be challenging, but it's a repetitive pattern. So we try to automate as much as possible the code to avoid human mistakes, actually, and to focus on the important part, which is answering business questions. But the thing is that we also see a lot of data quality issues for clients. And so the first step would be to have a view on the data and afterwards to improve that data. And this is important. And we saw that with Data Vault, we can not only see if a field is missing or incorrectly formatted, but we can start comparing data across multiple source systems, since we have everything in one raw vault, and that the purpose of the raw vault is to store historical data, but in a raw format without any transformation, meaning that we can check the data as it is in the source systems and help data owners to see their quality mistakes and quality issues and improve them in the source systems where the problem resides actually.
In fact, when you consider a little bit the traditional data quality items, they just check for the quality of specific data, part of data, but you never see what's missing. So in fact, when you have timesheets, it's normally in one module or in one system, but when you are a service company and you need to make invoice based on this timesheet, you cannot check an invoice which is not existing at the end of the day. And that's very interesting to be able to make some cross-check controls between the systems, which is a no man's land.
Okay. And picking up on that thread, Thibault, around data quality, why would you say data quality in 2025 is ever more important, or even more important with the rise of generative AI, for instance, and the use of large language models for analysis of data sets?
Okay, we've been observing a lot the industry of Gen AI and for the last years, and what we realize is that basically we already have a business-driven model, which is basically connecting all the concepts stored and that we use to make data quality and that we use to make some business intelligence work, like producing reports, dashboard, and so on. And we realized, in fact, and our clients ask us, okay, we've been trying to do some pilot stuff with AI, but we missed something, which is high quality data to feed this AI. And that's what we do today. In fact, we realize that there is a way to push the data using vector database and specific some algorithm to ease the connection with some agents. So, and that's what we are finalizing for the moment, and we will push forward on the market in early 25, in fact. So for our point of view, doing quality intelligence, business intelligence, and artificial intelligence is alike. It's totally different from a technical point of view. It's totally different from a technological point of view, but basically you should be coherent and consistent. What your AI is saying should be in the report. And that's what's lacking in most of the pilot stuff that we see today. We see some AI which is producing outputs, but no one can tell what it is supposed to say about which subject. And we are totally coherent. Why? Because we have a view on the underlying quality. We have some reports which are produced, and we also have some agents which basically answer based on the content and not hallucinating all the time when they don't know.
Okay. And so switching to what the bVault platform actually enables data managers to do you want to give us a quick overview of just how it works?
Yes. So bVault is a platform to automate data vault. It's currently actually the only data vault certified tool, meaning that we will only generate data vault compliant code. And our purpose is first to design the business model. And this is really important for bVault, is that we won't start looking at the source. We will always start with the representation of the company, so the business model, and then we will map the sources to that data model. It allows us to have a good representation in a business point of view of the company. And then once we have this mapping between the source and the data vault model, we can start to use that. And to do so, we incorporated the data quality module. And this data quality module will actually control data in the raw vault, and we will produce some results that we will store in the business vault, and we will present it in the information mark layer. And that can be used by data stewards, data owners to have a view on their issues. And then they can have a loop to, and there is an orchestrator built inside bVault, meaning that you can automate the full process of extracting the data from the sources, store it in your data vault model, apply the data quality controls in an automated manner, and then report it back and push the data in a BI tool such as Power BI, Tableau, whatever the tool you use. And so you have a loop. And the last step, once you have your data with a good quality, you can start using that, and you can generate your own information mark based on the business need that you have, meaning that it can be a star schema for a BI tool, but it can also sending CSV file on an S3 bucket. It can be pushing the data to an AI to create a RAG. Or the use case here, the use cases are limitless, I would say.
So I guess, Thibault, do you want to give listeners and viewers a little bit of an overview of how bVault works, and then maybe Marc, you follow up with a more detailed explanation?
The important matters in bVault is about splitting the storing of the data coming from multiple sources and using the same data in different way. And that's what we see in many architectures today, which in fact re-extract all the time the same customer data, the same ticket data, the same accounting data for multiple purposes. What we want to do is at the beginning of the bVault that is concerned about storing the data in a way that it can be used for multiple purpose, and then applying on this data quality, and then enrichment, and then specifying the data to be used in different use case, such as data quality, or can be a master data management, or can be for business intelligence, for artificial intelligence, is very important. So I'll let Marc explain a little bit the different steps.
Yeah, so how does it work? Actually, we will start with the data model, and this is really important. We don't want to start with the sources because we want to have a good representation of the company in a business way. So we start with the data model. We design it with hubs, links, and satellites, so it allows us to have a good representation in a business point of view. And then once we have that, we look at the sources and we map the source to that data model. So we extract the source, we load it into the hubs, links, and satellites. We historize everything in a raw manner as the data vault methodology allows. And then once we have everything in the raw vault, we can start doing some data quality controls on top of that. And the advantage is that we can start comparing data coming from multiple source systems and make sure that all the source systems are well updated, or start using much more complex controls. And we store everything in the business vault, all the result of our data quality controls. We store it in the business vault, and then we report it in the information model. The advantage of that is that we have the raw data, we ensure that we have a good quality in our data, and then we can start using it. And we have an orchestrator that allows you to manage the full cycle of data, from the extraction of the sources to the loading process, the data quality controls, and then you can start automating also your information marks. And those can be whatever the format it needs to be, meaning that you can have like a star schema for a BI tool, or you can send a CSV file to an S3 bucket, or you can push the data to an AI agent to build the RAG, whatever the business needs actually here.
Okay.
And that's the goal at the end, to be able to produce multiple data products that fits to multiple user needs, always relying on the same data sets, which comes from the same sources, in fact.
Yeah. Okay. Can you talk us through a use case or a scenario where you've been able to do something exceptional, or enable a client to significantly improve the data quality score?
Yes, we have one client that wanted to migrate like eight or 10 different source systems to one new ERP. The thing is that when you do such a migration, you don't want to do like a hard migration. And let's say that day we are moving, we are putting the 10 source system to the trash. And so we wanted to have a small process and start with one concept. And we started extracting one concept, applying some data quality control on that concept only. And then before migrating the data to the new ERP, they wanted to have a good quality of the new data. And so we had like a cycle where the client was improving the data with the data quality. And while they were improving the quality of the first concept, we could work on the extraction and the loading process of the second concept, and so on and so on. And so we had like a smooth process, an automated process for that migration, and ensuring that the new system will be fed with good quality data, actually.
Business-wise, the major concern was the fact that the company that was chosen for the ERP implementation didn't want to mess with data. And in fact, on the same time, the client had limited resources to deal with this issue. So they asked us, can you drastically improve the quality in the data in the legacy systems before we move them into the new ones? And by the way, in the course of the program, they ask us, can you create some kind of a referential that we need? Because we need some referential for the suppliers, the clients, the HR systems. We need to have a certified list that is today in various systems. So we were not only able to improve the data quality, but also to produce the required referentials that once implemented in the new systems become new sources that we can compare to the operating system. So this is kind of a dynamic way of considering supporting this type of initiative. We see a lot today of prospects which are dealing with this type of very big problem, in fact, because they don't know how to handle it. And this is everywhere, in fact, because if you migrate into a new system, it's because you have problem with the previous ones, and normally it's a problem linked to the poor data quality or existing data quality issue that you might have, in fact.
And so just to draw a line under some of this conversation, I'm interested to know what advice you would give a data professional in 2025 around, in your opinion, what you think they need to be across or aware of in relation to how the industry is evolving. So in other words, what advice would you give from a career perspective to data professionals that are operating in the data warehouse and data quality space?
I would tell them that they need to realize that what they have in their hand has nothing to do with technical matters. It's basically the blood of the organization. And if you want to move forward, you need to answer to very specific question. If you don't have any data quality issue, then I think you don't know about the data quality issue that you have, in fact, today. And that's one of the major stuff. What I would say is that no quality, no AI, no reporting. You need to find a way to speak not only to the technical side of the people, but also to the business side, the impact of having poor data quality. You won't realize when we show some reports about, for example, a CRM. So we see, for example, what's in the CRM for two specific salesperson, and you realize that one of them has deals with close to 98% of quality, and the other one is 25. How would you trust the one which has an underlying quality of 25? And this type of metric is nowhere in the report that I see all the time. How fancy the report, how beautiful it can be. Maybe you can activate the slide, because I want to show what I would suggest him is to set up as fast as possible such a feedback loop. Why? Because you need to tell the people which are the source owner, can be business or can be technical people, You need to process their data, you need to store them in the raw vault, you need to apply data quality, you need to create an information mark which is designed to make some data quality reporting, and you need to feed that back. I was the other day in a company where they spoke about implementing data governance. They had meetings about data governance, and they were speaking a lot about data governance issue and so on. And I just asked them one very simple question. Can you show me the output that shows the level of data quality across your system today? And they say, what do you mean, in fact? So they were speaking for months about theoretical problems about data quality. They were not speaking about real data quality issues that they had. And that's what we showed them. We just connected a few sources, applied some data quality controls, and then show that there were some very hands-on issues that they could be working on. When we speak about checking data quality checks, we also add the way to solve it. So they just receive list of elements where they know where is the issue and what they need to do, in fact. Voilà. I wanted to add something that might be very interesting is the link with the data vaulting. As you know, the data vaulting allows you to historicize all the data that are presented. That means that first you can see snapshots of the level of data quality globally and also on specific subscopes. That allows you, in fact, to say this data sources or this data owner is increasing or decreasing its data quality level, in fact. And that's very important when, if you want to set some objective, is the person, the owner, converging towards the objective, or is he moving away from the objective? That's very important. And the second stuff, which is very beautiful, is that let's imagine that today you invent a new data quality controls that say that, for example, I need to check the name of this employee in this system and this one. Can you check if it's the same name, the same first name, it had the same birth date? Basically, very simple data quality control. If you implement it today, due to the fact that you have full historization of the data, you can have a history of this control that did not exist yesterday. So that gives a lot of opportunities to think about some data quality issue that you discover today. And in fact, you realize they were there for years, in fact. So it's not important, in fact. It's not urgent because you know. And sometimes you need to realize that it's becoming very conjunctural or something is happening today that needs to be fixed, in fact. Voilà. That's how we conceive, in fact, the data quality. And that's why we think it's very important to use some structured way to store data, such as the benefits, which is linked to the data vaulting.
Okay. Marc, is there anything that you would add to that?
I would say that for a career perspective, we saw in the last years that I think data engineers know that there are a lot of different formats for the sources. What we see with the rise of AI and agents and so on is that now you also have a lot more output for our data projects or way to use your data. It's not only star schema for a BI tool. Now you can use your own data for phone calls to have an AI agent to pick up the phone and answer questions. You can have chatbots. There are a lot of manner to use your own data, and more than ever, you need to focus on the quality because the agent that will speak through the phone will use your own data, and you need to be careful on the data you are feeding the AI with. So yeah, that's my advice, is to really focus on the data quality because you may have multiple outputs now that people will trust more actually than just a dashboard.
So, Thibault, are there some unique aspects to the data vault methodology that you see as being particularly valuable in the circumstances that you are providing advice and automation to clients?
What's very unique in the data vault, like I said earlier, is the split between the storing of the data and the use of the data. So basically, in the storing of the data, what you are sure of is whatever the source that Marc spoke about can be a structured or unstructured database, can be of any type, can be in any type of environment. It's always stored using hub, links, and satellites, and you can never have an issue in extending the model. So it means that that's a very, very good foundation to build upon and to build data quality upon. And that's the beauty of it. Like I said, you can add data quality controls, you can apply them backwards on the historical data, which is, by the way, the same stuff for KPIs that you create today. And that's very interesting, the way, in fact, the foundation is set by the data vault and that we can use on top of it, fully complying with all the benefits which are generated by it. And that's something which is very unique, I think, because and that's something that we saw at some clients. We entered to some clients and they asked us to connect two data sources because they wanted us to produce a report that they could not produce. And they told us, don't believe that you will stay because that's the only thing we will ask you. We said fine, but we showed them that we could do it in 2 weeks, and we showed them exactly where the data quality issue they had in on the client side and on the device side that they were selling everywhere in the world. And basically we showed them that it was also a way, in fact, to store other data source. After a few, I think 2 years later, we connected to 81 data sources, applying data quality controls on these 81 data sources, and not feeding just one team, but to 6 teams in parallel with consistent data. Some of them being systems, some of them being reports, some of them being some other systems which were reusing, in fact, the data that we produce every night. So this is how extensive the approach is. And the beauty is that you can start small, you can show the benefits straight away, very fast. And then when the people in the organization, they just realize that they were looking for something like that for years, and then now they see it, they trust you, and you move forward. And that's the beauty of the approach and the evolutionary aspect of the data vaulting also, in fact.
Okay, super. I think that pretty much covers what we wanted to talk to you about in this session. I'm sure we'll be having some further discussions around the topic of data quality and data governance in the coming year. I guess just to finish off, if there was one thing that you wanted listeners to take away from today's show, what would that be? And you get two, since there's two of you. So Thibault, what would you say would be the number one thing that you'd like people to take away from this?
The number one thing, which is in today's matter to me, is no quality, no AI. That's for sure. Because you cannot play with it. You cannot think that it's going to work if you don't know how good your data are before you process them and you send them to whatever AI machine. That's something that is for me very important. And by the way, I think that the same data you should use for other purpose, because otherwise it doesn't make sense at all.
Okay.
And for me, it would be measure your data quality, because a lot of people are speaking of data quality without measuring it. So there are tools on the market to measure it. So do it, because you will improve your data for sure.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much for getting up early to do this. Not that it's necessarily that early for you, but also I believe that you're going to be having an event in Brussels this week.
Yeah,
what day is it?
Thursday.
On Thursday. Well, this will be going out straight afterwards, so you'll be able to point people at your radio show as a episode, as a follow-up from the event that you're having in Brussels. So good luck for that, and we'll be seeing you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It was a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for checking out this week's episode of the Data Radio Show. And if you were part of the conference event that they were talking about, it's great to have you here. I hope you really enjoyed the event and you picked up a few things while you were there. Don't forget again, like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about it in that competition that's running at the moment on the YouTube channel. Should be a really good incentive to make sure you hit that subscribe button. Look, until next week, have yourself a fantastic time, live long and prosper. May the force be with you.